The Galactic Assembly Chamber floated above the blue giant star Virex, 9 like a jeweled crown. It was a place of ancient power, rings of crystal balconies, gravity-bent light, and the low hum of 1,000 civilizations breathing in uneasy harmony. Every advanced species had a seat here. Every species except one. Next agenda item, intoned the archivist drone, its voice echoing like metal rain. Designation, humanity. Status, pre-tier civilization. Petition for limited interstellar access. A ripple of amusement passed through the chamber. On the upper tiers, the Krell Dominion shifted, towering reptilian forms with eyes like molten gold. Their supreme strategist, Vorth Kale, leaned forward, claws tapping stone. Humans? Vorth hissed. The soft bipeds from the Yellow Star system? Yes, replied the archivist. Origin world, Sol, 3. Local name, Earth. Laughter followed. Not cruel, dismissive. They are divided, said Ambassador Threx of the Silicate Union, his crystalline body refracting light. Their planet still fights itself. They burn fossil matter for energy. They argue on global networks, added the insectoid Jarrah collective, mandibles clicking. Publicly. Emotionally. Vorth Kale's smile widened. Primitive, he said. Grant them observation status only. No technology sharing. No military clearance. Around the chamber, nods of agreement. Only one seat remained silent. At the far end, wrapped in shadow and bioluminescent mist, sat Elder Nakari of the Aurelian Continuum, a species older than most stars in the room. Her voice finally emerged, calm and heavy with memory. You are making the same mistake again. The chamber quieted. Vorth Kale turned slowly. You object. Nakari's eyes glowed faintly. The last time the galaxy laughed at a divided species, it was the Veruan swarm. A murmur passed through the delegates. The Veruan had nearly erased 3 sectors before being stopped. Barely. They were hive-minded predators, Vorth said. Humans are emotional mammals. Yes, Nakari replied. That is precisely why they are dangerous. Earth, Sol system. From orbit, Earth looked peaceful. Clouds drifted over oceans. Night lights glittered like constellations turned inward. No sign that the planet had just been judged by gods. Inside a reinforced chamber beneath Geneva, Admiral Elias Rourke stood before a projection of alien symbols scrolling in slow rotation. They laughed, said Dr. Mara Chin, head of the Xenolinguistics division. They didn't even bother to encrypt the response properly. Rourke exhaled through his nose. Good. Chin blinked. Good, sir? If they fear you, they watch you, Rourke said. If they mock you, they ignore you. Around the room, representatives from Earth's major powers watched silently. There were no flags on the walls, only the symbol of the unified Terran Accord. A miracle born from fear. They've classified us as low risk, Chin continued. Observation only. No restrictions on internal development. Rourke's eyes hardened. Then Phase 1 proceeds. Beyond known space. Far from Earth, in a region the galaxy labeled unstable and unprofitable, a human vessel drifted dark. The ship had no markings. No energy signature visible to standard scans. Inside, Captain Sofia Alvarez watched alien patrol craft pass within kilometers, never noticing her. Stealth grid holding, her engineer whispered. Of course it is, Alvarez replied calmly. They don't know what to look for. The ship wasn't fast. It wasn't heavily armed. But it was adaptive. Every second its systems learned. The first warning. 3 cycles later the Galactic Assembly reconvened. This time the archivist's voice carried strain. Emergency notice. An unidentified force has dismantled a Krell listening outpost in Sector D-17. No survivors. No detectable weapon residue. Vorth Kale rose from his seat, fury blazing. Impossible. That outpost was shielded against. A hologram flared to life. It showed the outpost intact. Then, confused. Then turning its own defense grid inward. Finally, silent. The chamber froze. Analysis, demanded Vorth. The archivist paused. Control systems were overridden using adaptive logic loops. The code rewrote itself during the attack. Nakari closed her eyes. That, she said softly, is human thinking. Vorth snarled. They don't have that capability. They didn't, Nakari replied. Now they do. Earth, command level. Admiral Rourke watched the confirmation feed. Message received from Captain Alvarez, Chin said. Mission success. 0 detection. Rourke nodded once. Then informed the assembly, he said. Formally. Chin hesitated. What should we say? Rourke allowed himself a thin smile. Tell them humanity thanks them, he said, for the time they gave us. Outside the bunker, the planet turned, quiet, underestimated, and preparing to remind the galaxy why survivors from a death world should never be ignored. The Galactic Assembly had not convened this fast in over 3,000 cycles. Emergency lights burned amber across the crystalline hall. Delegates whispered in dozens of frequencies, chemical scents, subsonic rumbles, flashing bioluminescent signals of unease. At the center of the chamber, the destroyed Krell listening outpost replayed again and again. Ambassador Vorth Kale stood rigid, claws clenched so tightly they cracked the stone railing. Replay it, he demanded. The archivist obeyed. The outpost appeared peaceful. Then its shields flickered just once. Internal turrets rotated inward. Defensive drones froze mid-flight, their command logic rewritten faster than their processors could react. No explosions. No visible attack. Just silence. They hacked us, Vorth growled. From outside our sensor range. That should not be possible, said Threx of the Silicate Union. Our encryption is quantum entangled. It was, Elder Nakari replied calmly. Before humans introduced uncertainty into it. All eyes turned to her. You speak as if you know their methods, snapped Ajar, our war speaker. I know their history, Nakari said. They evolved on a world where survival required adaptation faster than predators could evolve teeth. Their greatest weapon is not strength. She paused. It is improvisation. Earth Unified Terran Command. Admiral Elias Rourke stood before a room that felt smaller than it was. Screens showed alien fleet movements, political infighting, intercepted communications. Panic translated beautifully across species. They've elevated us from low risk to unclassified anomaly, Dr. Marachin reported. Still no formal sanctions. Rourke nodded. They're confused. Good. General Amina Okoye crossed her arms. The Krell won't stay confused. They'll strike to reassert dominance. Of course they will, Rourke said. That's why we let them. Silence followed. Chin frowned. Sir? Rourke tapped the projection. A star system bloomed into view, red dwarf, scattered asteroid belts, one strategic jump corridor. Krell Forward Bastion K-47, he said. Heavily fortified. Symbolically important. Militarily, predictable. Okoye's eyes widened. You want them to attack us there? No, Rourke said softly. I want them to think they're attacking us. Krell Dominion, War Council. Supreme Strategist Vorth Kale towered above his generals. Humans violated Dominion sovereignty, he roared. They will be crushed swiftly and publicly. A hologram displayed Earth, small, blue, insignificant. They have no war fleets worthy of the name, a commander sneered. No plasma lances. No void titans. Vortha's eyes burned. Then it will be a lesson, he said. Mobilize Task Claw. We strike their outer colonies. Pause. Sir, said a junior strategist, hesitating. Human space appears empty. Vorth snarled. Then they will watch their homeworld burn. The ambush. Krell Task Claw entered the K-47 system in perfect formation. 30 warships, shields blazing, weapons charged. They found nothing. No human fleet. No defenses. Only a single, unarmed-looking structure drifting near the jump corridor. What is that? Vorth demanded. Sensors flickered. Unknown, replied an officer. Minimal power output. Vorth laughed. A trap so crude it insults us. Fire. The moment the first plasma bolt struck. Space folded. Gravity inverted. Krell ships screamed as their own momentum betrayed them. Hulls twisted. Formations collapsed. Human vessels appeared everywhere at once. Not through jumps but by unfolding from folded space, riding distorted physics the Krell had never imagined using as propulsion. Captain Sofia Alvarez's voice cut across all channels, calm and human. This is Captain Alvarez of the Terran Exploratory Fleet. Silence. You have entered a restricted human training zone. Vorth snarled. Destroy them. Krell weapons fired, only to miss as human ships moved between probabilities not locations. Human rail weapons answered. No glowing beams. Just impacts. Krell shields failed catastrophically, never designed to stop kinetic weapons accelerated to relativistic speeds. One ship vanished. Then another. Panic erupted. They're learning our countermeasures as we deploy them, a Krell officer screamed. They predicted. The transmission cut off. Alvarez watched the battle with cold focus. Execute phase echo, she said. Human ships retreated, not fleeing but inviting pursuit. Vorthkale took the bait. After them, he roared. The moment his flagship crossed the invisible boundary, every system went dark. Life support remained. Weapons did not. A hologram flickered to life on his bridge. Admiral Rourke appeared, hands clasped behind his back. You attacked us, Rourke said evenly. We responded proportionally. Vorth hissed. You dare cripple a Dominion fleet and call it proportional? Rourke leaned forward. We could have erased you, he said. Instead, we chose dialogue. He straightened. Leave our space, Rourke continued, and we will forget this happened. Vorth's silence stretched. And if we don't? He spat. Rourke's eyes hardened. Then the galaxy will learn, he said, why humans never needed permission to survive. The channel closed. Moments later, Krell ships were released, humiliated, broken, alive. The galaxy reacts. Across the assembly, panic exploded. They defeated a Dominion task force. With training ships. Nakari rose slowly, her voice cutting through the chaos. You laughed at them, she said. You ignored them. You gave them time. She looked directly at the central star burning beneath the chamber. And now, she finished, humanity has noticed you. Far away, on a blue world full of oceans and storms, humanity prepared for what came next, not with fear but with quiet, focused resolve. Because the warning had never been a myth. It had been a mercy. The Galactic Assembly fractured the moment the Krell fleet limped home. Accusations flew like shrapnel. You provoked them. You failed. You lied about their capabilities. Ambassador Vorthkale stood before the chamber, his once proud posture bent with rage and humiliation. They used dishonorable methods, he snarled. Probability manipulation. Cognitive warfare. Weapons without warning. Elder Nakari's voice was calm, cutting deeper than anger ever could. You attacked them first. Silence followed. The archivist drone pulsed, projecting intercepted human transmissions. Carefully chosen, deliberately leaked. Human voices. Come. Professional. Adjust vector, compensate for unknown physics. They're adapting faster than predicted. Log everything will improve next time. The chamber felt colder. They treated battle as research, whispered a Jarar delegate. Nakari nodded. Humans do not seek perfection before action. They learn by surviving failure. Earth Unified Terran Command. Admiral Rourke listened to the Assembly's chaos through translated feeds. They're arguing about rules, General Okoye said. About fairness. Rourke almost smiled. That's phase 2 working, he replied. Dr. Chin frowned. We humiliated the Krell. Others may unite against us. They already were, Rourke said. They just hadn't admitted it. A new alert flashed. Multiple fleets mobilizing, Chin said. A coalition. Krell. Sure. Minor powers. Rourke straightened. Good, he said. Now we find out who's willing to think, and who's only willing to dominate. The Aurelian decision. Elder Nakari stood alone within the Aurelian Continuum's living halls, walls breathing, light flowing like thought itself. Her advisors shimmered around her. The humans destabilize the balance, one warned. They refuse hierarchy. They refuse submission, Nakari corrected. You would side with them? Nakari's gaze turned inward, ancient memories stirring. We once underestimated a species like them, she said, and paid for it with extinction-level war. She looked up. This time, I will not stand against evolution. The decision was made. The coalition strikes back. The coalition fleet arrived at the edge of human-controlled space in overwhelming numbers. 200 warships. Planet killers. Commanded not by strategy, but by fear. Vorthkale watched the fleet assemble, hatred burning anew. This time, he growled, we erased them. The first target was not Earth. It was Mars. Human terraforming platforms bloomed red against the void. Coalition weapons charged. Then, something unexpected happened. Human ships did not rush to defend. They retreated. Cowards, Vorth hissed. Coalition weapons fired. The first shot never reached its target. Space bent. The projectile curved, then slammed back into the firing ship. Confusion erupted. What is happening? Mars vanished. Not destroyed. Gone. Sensors screamed nonsense. Planetary mass, phased out of local reality, an analyst stammered. Vortha's blood ran cold. You hit a planet? He whispered. Humanity reveals its hand. Admiral Rourke addressed the galaxy openly for the first time. His image appeared across assembly channels, fleet command bridges, and civilian worlds. "We anticipated this response," Rourke said calmly. "Coalitions formed from fear always strike infrastructure first." Behind him, images flickered, Mars reappearing elsewhere intact. "We did not weaponize space," he continued. "We learned to move within it." Murmurs spread. "This war will not be fought where you expect," Rourke said. "And it will not end how you hope." He paused. "But it can still end." The transmission ended. The battle of broken assumptions. The coalition pressed forward anyway. They found human space, empty. Then dangerous. Jump points collapsed mid-transit. Sensors fed false realities. Entire squadrons chased phantom fleets while real human ships dismantled logistics lines with surgical precision. Captain Alvarez led a strike through a collapsing wormhole, her ship adapting hull geometry in real time. "They're confused," her tactical officer said. "They should be," Alvarez replied. "We are rewriting the rules faster than they can learn them." Coalition losses mounted, not from brute force but exhaustion, disorientation, and systems failing in ways engineers couldn't explain. Vorth Kale watched his grand offensive unravel. "They're not fighting us," he realized aloud. "They're letting us defeat ourselves." The first defection. In the chaos, a transmission cut through. "This is Elder Nakari of the Aurelian Continuum." Every channel listened. "We withdraw from the coalition," she declared. "Effective immediately." Shock followed. "We recognize humanity," Nakari continued, "as a sovereign apex civilization." Vorth roared in fury. "You betray the galaxy." Nakari's reply was gentle and devastating. "No," she said. "I save it." Earth, quiet resolve. Rourke watched the defection notice arrive. Chin exhaled. "That changes everything." Rourke nodded. "Yes," he said. "Now the galaxy must choose." Outside, Earth's fleets continued to grow, not massive, not boastful, but smarter with every engagement. Humanity had not come to conquer. But it would not kneel. And the universe was beginning to understand the true cost of underestimating a species that evolved on a world where survival was never guaranteed. The galaxy no longer debated whether humanity was dangerous. The debate now was how long they had before it was too late. Coalition space burned, not from overwhelming force but from collapsing certainty. Trade routes failed. Supply fleets vanished. Entire star systems reported impossible readings, stars dimming for seconds at a time, then returning as if nothing had happened. Fear spread faster than any fleet. Galactic assembly, emergency session. The chamber felt smaller than ever. "They are dismantling our economies," cried a minor power delegate. "This is not war, it is annihilation by invisibility." Vorth Kale slammed his claws into the stone. "They refuse honorable battle," he snarled. "They hide behind tricks." Elder Nakari stood luminous and calm. "They do not hide," she said. "They adapt." She turned to the assembly. Humans evolved without galactic protection. No elders. No stabilizing empires. Every crisis they faced, they survived by changing faster than their enemies. Vorth hissed. "Then they must be stopped now." Nakari's gaze hardened. "You already tried." Earth. Strategic Command. Admiral Rourke stood before the inner circle. "We're entering Phase 3, he said. The room stilled. General Okoye spoke carefully. "That doctrine has never been revealed to non-humans." Rourke nodded. "It is time." Dr. Chin swallowed. "Once they see this, they won't forget." Rourke met her eyes. "They were warned." The doctrine explained. Across the galaxy, human signals broke through encrypted channels. Not hacked, but inserted, woven into communication streams like a new law of physics. A single document appeared everywhere, translated perfectly. The doctrine of survival. Terran strategic framework. Humans do not escalate conflicts. Humans out-adapt them. Any system used to harm humanity becomes a liability. The longer a war lasts, the more dangerous humans become. Then came the demonstrations. The fall of Krell Bastion Prime. Krell Bastion Prime had never fallen. Its shields were legendary. Its fleets unmatched. Human ships arrived quietly. They did not attack the shields. They studied them. For 12 hours nothing happened. Then Bastion Prime's shields turned inside out. Power feeds reversed. Defense grids locked. Human kinetic rounds struck with perfect timing. The Bastion collapsed in minutes. Vorth Kale watched the feed, his confidence finally cracking. "They didn't overpower us," he whispered. "They corrected us." psychological warfare. Humanity did not celebrate victories. It communicated them. Captured coalition ships were returned, repaired. Prisoners were fed, treated, and released with recorded messages. "We learned from you," the humans said. "Thank you." The effect was devastating. Coalition morale shattered. "They're not trying to terrify us," Ajar, our commander, said in despair. "They're proving we're obsolete." The counterstrike that failed. Desperate, the coalition launched its final gambit. A synchronized attack, planet killers aimed at Earth. Vorth Kale led it himself. "End this," he commanded. The weapons fired. Earth did not respond. The planet vanished. Vorth screamed in triumph, then froze. Earth reappeared behind the coalition fleet. Human ships unfolded from its shadow like ghosts. Admiral Rourke's voice echoed across all channels. "You tried to erase our home," he said quietly. "So we brought it with us." The battle was brief. One-sided. The breaking point. Coalition fleets surrendered en masse. Systems powered down voluntarily. Vorth Kale's flagship drifted powerless. Rourke appeared once more. "This war is over," Rourke said. Vorth's voice trembled. "You could destroy us." "Yes," Rourke agreed. "But then you would learn nothing." He leaned forward. "Remember this," Rourke said. "We are not the apex because we are strongest." He paused. "We are the apex because we survive." The transmission ended. Aftermath. Across the galaxy, ancient doctrines were rewritten. Military academies replaced brute force theory with human adaptive warfare studies. Species that once mocked Earth now requested embassies. Elder Nakari watched it all, her ancient heart heavy but hopeful. "The universe warned them," she whispered. "They didn't listen." The galaxy believed the war was ending. That belief was the most dangerous mistake of all. A false peace. Coalition fleets withdrew. Borders stabilized. Emergency summits turned into negotiations. The Galactic Assembly breathed again. "They have accepted human supremacy," declared a Threx envoy. "Balance has been restored." Elder Nakari did not celebrate. "Balance," she said quietly, "is an illusion maintained by vigilance." Her warning went unheeded. The signal no one saw. It began as background noise. Deep space sensors detected a low-frequency pulse. Older than hyperspace theory, older than modern physics. It moved through stars not around them. Human AI noticed first. Then human scientists panicked. Dr. Mara Chen stood pale before Admiral Rourke. "It's not a fleet," she said. "It's a summons." Rourke frowned. "From whom?" Chen swallowed. "From something the galaxy buried." The Devourers awaken. Beyond mapped space, ancient constructs stirred. Not ships. Not species. Survivors. The XYR ascendancy, the reason galactic law forbade certain technologies. The reason elder species spoke of warnings instead of histories. They had nearly erased intelligent life once. And humanity's war had rung the dinner bell. "They're not attacking randomly," Chen said. "They're following patterns." Rourke looked at the projection. "They're hunting adaptability," he realized. Galactic panic. The assembly descended into chaos. "You provoked them," delegates screamed at the human envoy. Nakari silenced them with a gesture. "No," she said. The Devourers woke because someone finally became interesting again. Vorth Kale, broken, humbled, spoke from confinement. "They cannot be fought," he rasped. "They consume civilizations." Rourke's image appeared. "Then we won't fight them the way you did." Humanity's dark secret. Rourke authorized disclosure. Across the galaxy, a sealed human archive unlocked. Project Prometheus Null. Human scientists had discovered something terrifying centuries ago. The universe favored systems that refused stability. Entropy was not decay. It was selection. Humanity had learned to weaponize unpredictability itself. "We don't build perfect systems," Chin explained. "We build systems that can fail safely and evolve." Nakari's voice trembled with awe. "You became chaos," she whispered. "By choice." First contact with the Devourers. The XYR did not speak. They rewrote. Stars dimmed as matter was reprocessed. Entire fleets were deconstructed mid-thought. Human ships approached, not in formation but in swarming probability clouds. Captain Alvarez led the advance. "They're trying to predict us," her AI warned. "Then don't let them," Alvarez replied. Human ships changed tactics every second. Weapons rewrote themselves mid-flight. Command structures dissolved into autonomous cooperation. The XYR hesitated. For the first time in millennia. They encountered resistance that mutated faster than consumption. The cost. Human losses were heavy. Entire crews volunteered for one-way missions. Cities on Earth dimmed as energy was rerouted to defense. Rourke watched casualty reports with clenched fists. "We can win," Okoye said softly. "But not cleanly." Rourke nodded. "We never expected to." The choice. Nakari met Rourke in a private channel. "If you continue," she warned, "you may reshape the universe itself." Rourke met her gaze. "We already have," he said. "We just didn't admit it." He paused. "We will not let the galaxy burn because it fears change." Nakari bowed, an ancient gesture never offered lightly. "Then the future belongs to you," she said. The turning point. Humanity unleashed Prometheus null fully. Not a weapon. A principle. They seeded reality with adaptive anomalies, regions where physics learned instead of obeyed. The XYR faltered. They could not consume what would not remain the same long enough to digest. For the first time, the devourers retreated. Silence returns. The galaxy watched in stunned disbelief. Humanity stood bloodied, but unbroken. Rourke addressed the assembly one last time. "We were never the strongest," he said. "We were never the oldest." He looked tired. Human. "But we were always the ones who refused to stop becoming." The feed cut. Elder Nakari closed her eyes. "The warning was never about violence," she said softly. "It was about evolution." The XYR ascendancy did not retreat in fear. They retreated to learn. That alone terrified the elders of the galaxy more than any battle ever had. When the devourers adapt. Deep beyond charted space, XYR constructs reassembled themselves, not into larger weapons but into questions. Human anomalies were studied. Consumed. Understood. "They're changing," Dr. Marachin said, her voice tight. "They're not trying to overpower Prometheus null anymore." Admiral Rourke looked at the data. "They're trying to outgrow us." Silence filled the command chamber. For the first time since the war began, humanity was no longer ahead of the curve. The second wave. The XYR returned, not as a swarm but as precision. Stars didn't go dark this time. They went quiet. Physics stabilized unnaturally wherever the XYR passed. Adaptive zones collapsed. Reality became rigid. "They're enforcing order," Captain Alvarez reported from the front. "They're freezing evolution itself." Human ships slowed. Systems that relied on rapid change began to fail. Casualties rose. "They learned our lesson," General Okoye said grimly, "and improved it." Galactic despair. Across the assembly, panic returned, deeper than before. "If they win," cried a delegate, "everything ends." Nakari stood, ancient sorrow in her eyes. "No," she said. "If they win, nothing ever changes again." She turned to the human envoy. "Do you still have a path?" Rourke answered without hesitation. "Yes," he said. "But it costs us something we can never reclaim. The ultimate human decision." Project Prometheus Null had a final clause. One humanity had hoped never to activate. Singularity seeding. It meant embedding human-style adaptive uncertainty not just into space, but into time. Not a reset. A scar. "We will no longer fully belong to causality," Shin explained. "Human decision-making will echo forward and backward." Okoye stiffened. "That makes us different." Rourke nodded. "We already are." He looked at Earth on the screen. "At least this way," he said softly, "we choose what we become." Voices of Earth. Before activation, humanity spoke to itself. No speeches. No lies. Just truth. Parents recorded messages they might never finish hearing. Soldiers embraced knowing memory itself might blur. Children were told the simple version. "We're protecting tomorrow." Captain Alvarez stood alone in her ship. "If this works," her officer asked quietly, "will we still be human?" Alvarez smiled faintly. "We'll still try," she said. "That's enough." The moment of no return. Prometheus Null activated. Reality did not explode. It hesitated. Time rippled outward from Soul like a slow breath. The XYR advanced, and froze. Not stopped. Conflicted. Their predictive structures fractured, unable to anchor to a timeline that refused consistency. Human ships moved again, not faster but freer. "They can't model us anymore," Shin whispered. "We're historically noisy." The last battle. The final confrontation took place around a dying star. XYR constructs collapsed under their own certainty. Human fleets fought without formations, without hierarchy, without predictability. Losses were terrible. But momentum returned. Captain Alvarez's ship was torn apart, but its autonomous systems fought on, adapting even in death. Rourke watched as the XYR core structure destabilized. "They're failing," Okoye said. "No," Rourke replied. "They're choosing." The XYR choice. For the first time, the Devourers communicated. Not words. Understanding. They saw humanity, not as prey, not as rivals, but as a force that made stagnation impossible. They withdrew. Not fleeing. Yielding. After the silence, the universe settled, different. Human systems stabilized slowly. Some technologies never worked the same again. Some memories felt stretched. Humanity survived, but paid. Rourke stood alone, staring at Earth. "We won," Shin said softly. Rourke nodded. "Yes," he replied. "And now we live with it." Nakari's witness. Elder Nakari addressed the assembly, voice heavy with awe. "The universe did not fear humanity because of strength," she said. "It feared them because they would never allow existence to become finished." She bowed deeply. "To the species who broke the cycle." The universe did not return to normal. It moved on. After the Devourers, the XYR ascendancy vanished beyond the edges of causality, leaving behind regions of space no longer bound to any single future. Scholars would later argue whether the Devourers retreated in defeat or in respect. Humanity did not argue. Humanity rebuilt. Across Sol and beyond, ships were repaired, worlds relit, and mourning became a shared language across every culture on Earth. There were no victory parades. Only quiet resolve. Admiral Elias Rourke resigned 3 days after the war officially ended. "No one should lead humanity when they start believing they're indispensable," he said in his final address. He vanished into civilian life, becoming a name children learned in history lessons rather than a face they followed. That, too, was a human choice. The changed species. Humanity was no longer entirely local to time. Most humans lived normally, aging, loving, dying, but their collective decisions now left echoes. Patterns repeated across generations as instinct rather than memory. They called it historical intuition. Firefighters moved before buildings collapsed. Scientists abandoned theories seconds before proving them wrong. Explorers avoided disasters they could not explain. The galaxy watched with awe and unease. "They don't predict the future," a Silicate scholar wrote. "They remember it sideways." The Galactic Reckoning. The Galactic Assembly reconvened, not as rulers but as witnesses. Their chamber had been redesigned. No tiers. No hierarchy. A circle. At its center stood a single human delegate, Dr. Mara Chin. She wore no armor. No symbols of power. Only a quiet confidence. "You have seen what happens when fear governs decision-making," she said calmly. "We are not here to rule you." Ajar Elder clicked nervously. "Then what are you here to do?" Chin paused. "To make sure the universe keeps changing." The new law. Humanity proposed only one galactic mandate. No civilization may enforce permanent stagnation. No eternal empires. No frozen hierarchies. No technology designed to end evolution. Many resisted. None could refute it. Elder Nakari rose, her ancient form glowing softly. "We once thought peace meant stability," she said. "Humanity taught us peace means motion." The law passed. Unanimously. What humanity refused. They refused thrones. They refused titles like Supreme Species or Galactic Apex. They refused to occupy every system they could reach. Instead, humanity became something stranger. The variable. Where stagnation threatened, humans appeared, not as conquerors but as disruptors. They broke monopolies. They shattered dogmas. They introduced questions where answers had grown too comfortable. And then they left. The Krell Redemption. Vorth Kale stood before a human council years later, no longer supreme strategist, just a representative. "You destroyed everything we believed made us strong," he said. Chin studied him. "No," she replied. "We showed you what made you fragile." Vorth bowed his massive head. "Our young study human doctrine now," he said quietly. "Adaptation over dominance." Chin nodded. "Then you'll survive." That was the closest thing to forgiveness the galaxy ever received. Legends form. Among younger civilizations, humanity became myth. Not gods. Warnings. Stories were told of a species born on a death world, divided by nature, scarcity, and self-inflicted chaos, yet too stubborn to stop learning. A species that turned weakness into methodology. A species that weaponized survival itself. Parents whispered to their children, "Change or the humans will remind you." Earth long after. On a quiet beach, an old man watched the tide roll in. Rourke, older now, smiled as children played nearby, unaware of how close their universe had once come to ending. Dr. Chin joined him. "The galaxy still talks about us," she said. Rourke chuckled. "Let them." He looked at the horizon. "We didn't win because we were better," he said. "We won because we never believed the story was finished." Chin nodded. "That scares them." Rourke smiled softly. "It should." The final record. Deep within the Aurelian archives, Nakeri recorded the final entry. The universe did not survive humanity because they were kind. It survived because humanity refused final answers. They are not conquerors. They are not guardians. They are the question that ensures existence keeps asking itself what comes next. She sealed the archive. Labeled simply, "Warning." Epilogue. Somewhere, far beyond the known edges of space, something ancient stirred. It felt the echo of uncertainty. And, for the first time in eternity, it hesitated.